Episode for Ahaya GC News, Mema Obibia Akwawa, Ahadia latest and hot news, and Kwa Eramede Bremo. Erunti so when subscribe to channel dia bomodia say over subscribe. The way I say over click the subscribe button, you know. Now wa barely notification, you know. Where sa video for be upload, you know. When the first person wants sa ebeka sa video. Afi we are na like video. Give us a thumbs up na afi share ma wo fufro so na we je bi hwe na wo hu esemo a ekoso gara me mo ha no. Afi yembura ye esemo abeto yepno so yenti sa report ya ababa tudwa sansem yenti esemo ekoso yenti.
Something very significant happened yesterday at the Black Star Square or Independence Square, whatever you call it. Okay. What was it? The head of state who had the largest applause, the most emphatic display of public enthusiasm.
Was a 36-year-old.
Ibrahim Traore.
He was a Western cowboy.
Yes, Ibrahim Traore. Clearly. No, I mean,
not that.
That should say something. You understand?
Kwesi,
no, but that should say something.
Something.
If the Speaker of Parliament,
the cowboy,
the Speaker of Parliament,
call him cowboy, call him whatever. The endorsement, the public endorsement, as far as you can.
He had the loudest applause.
The loudest applause, the loudest enthusiasm.
Okay. We've seen it all before. I am very cynical and skeptical about these characters.
Okay.
We've seen it all before. Okay. You've seen more than.
No problem. So,
please.
But for the moment yesterday,
he was
all the so-called democratically leaders and so on did not get the kind of endorsement that Ibrahim Traore got at Independence Square. And that's a statement.
I'm struggling to get the logic of your point. What is it? That the Ghanaian community...
No, not just the Ghanaian community.
No, we're a majority there. The people clapping. Majority, obviously, were Ghanaian citizens.
Okay.
What were they endorsing?
What they were endorsing? They were endorsing a struggle against neocolonialism. They were endorsing a struggle for African people to take hold of their resources and to exploit it for their own benefit. They were endorsing a regime which is saying no to foreign military bases on African soil and so on. Those were the things they were endorsing. Now, democracy, I'm saying that democracy must yield something that the people want.
Right.
Because democracy in our lifetime and throughout the world on many occasions has yielded things that are against the interests of the people. Clearly, so-called democracy. And in any case, if you come to test for ingredients in this so-called democracy, you find it lacking in many of the countries in West Africa.
We fought for this. Why did we fight to restore constitutional normalcy and multi-party democracy? Why did we do that? We put our lives on the line.
Yes.
Some died, actually.
Yes.
Some died.
Many died.
Yes.
But
so why did we do that?
No, Kweku. We did that in expectation of certain results. We did that believing that it will yield dividends to the population.
I'm sure.
Now, if 30 years later we do an examination and find that what we struggle for is not yielding the dividends we want, are we not entitled to change our minds?
How do you do the change? Because I know you will
I don't have a gun. I'm not a soldier.
Did you see that?
You know, yes. I cannot organize a coup d'etat and so on. I cannot.
But I know you will not endorse or prescribe coup d'etat.
Under certain circumstances, I will.
In this constitutional
look, for example.
The only time I would endorse coup d'etat is the counter coup d'etat, as Nkrumah himself said.
No, Kweku, let me give you another example. If we go to the elections, and we elect a government of our choice, and the previous government refuses to hand over, that will be justification for a coup d'etat. When the avenues for legitimate expression of the people is closed, you open the floodgates for coup d'etat.
This is a hypothesis I would not want to interrogate.
Why?
Because it wouldn't happen. And our history has vindicated that point. We've had about 8 or 9 transitions with all its challenges, and many of those transitions, that's why I made a point that even 2 election petitions came on board. We have found a way of deepening the democratic consolidation exercise. We should not contemplate, and because your scenario wouldn't happen, I tell you, no
You mean
Ghanaian.
we cannot have a Bokassa as head of state in
It
Ghana?
is not going to happen.
How do you come to that conclusion?
That's why I said I will interrogate.
We could have a Bokassa in Ghana anytime.
Anytime.
Anytime we could have a
You are
Bokassa.
underestimating what our
you have
historical
been around.
experience.
You have
I
been
think you are.
around.
Look, we have created a critical mass of a commitment against military adventurism, and for the upgrade again of constitutional democracy. Look, it's not a perfect system.
Right.
No way. I'm not talking about perfection.
Yeah.
I'm talking of a certain journey that we have taken, including with your support.
Yeah.
Well,
With your
participation.
effort,
Okay.
your participation. And here you give me a scenario, a hypothesis of a Bokassa at this stage in our history. It won't happen, my brother.
Kweku, I'm surprised that you've come to a conclusion that it
won't happen.
Because I'm looking at elections in Ghana since 1991.
Yes.
And I'm looking at some of the candidates, some of the people who qualified to be on the ballot.
That's
Their views,
the people
their
decided.
attitude, and so on.
It's their right to be there if they
One
qualify in
day,
terms of.
one day, some of those people are going to emerge as victorious in our election.
If true,
And you
fair,
know
and
that what
foul
I'm saying-
means, if true, fair, and free means yes.
The person is elected. After he's elected, he says, hey, to hell with your
He
constitution.
can't do that.
It has happened in history again. We are talking about history. Kweku. Why? Adolf Hitler. Was he not democratically elected? Look at what he put the world through.
Kwesi, again you've gone to.
So I'm saying that when we have a situation and a Bokassa emerges and Adolf Hitler emerges, it becomes
Anyway,
legitimate and proper
I'm sure you're
to
saying
overthrow
if,
them.
Okay. All right.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
see, you know what? This argument,
Yeah.
if you are not careful,
Yes.
could be reversed to justify the 66 coup. If you are not careful with this logic, it could be reversed.
In 1966, we didn't have a Bokassa in power. So we cannot reverse this argument to justify the 1966
I'm
coup.
talking.
And again, on
You
hindsight,
know my
Kweku,
position.
I know.
I'm talking of
On
people
hindsight.
who assumed
Kweku.
that what we had was a Bokassa.
No.
They thought we had a life president when Nkrumah was never declared formally a life president.
Agreed.
But they thought we had, not that they thought, they saw a one-party state. The fact, again, and I'm being very honest, the 66 coup was completely unjustified. It was a foreign teleguided adventure. So that is not an issue we are going to even debate here. But the 65 elections, you could also call it selection.
65.
1965, the second parliament of the First Republic. You could say so. Because it was only the party, the Central Committee, that did the selection of the members of parliament. And then they were declared unopposed and came to parliament, the second parliament. And there are people who see those things as why they should justify the 1966 coup. Because they look at just those things. I don't. I disagree. Especially when you realize that it was foreign teleguided
But you see, Kweku,
and financed.
Kweku,
Yeah, so we have to be very careful.
There's no way that the 1966, I'm not saying that you are justifying it, but there's no way that the 1966 coup can be justified based on the evidence available to us now. We have
Even
the
then,
evidence.
even then.
No. The evidence suggests very clearly that the 1966 coup had nothing to do with the emergence of a Bokassa. The 1966 coup came about only because Western interest was affected by the government then.
But they were plotting the coup.
Yes.
The CIA, the British intelligence,
Yes.
and the
But
government.
it was not to entrench democracy. It was not to overthrow a dictatorship. It was to protect Western
I'm
interest.
saying they will say so. They
They cannot today. They cannot because we have, for example, and I'm sure you know that, you have read it, the cable which was dispatched to the British Foreign Office by the British ambassador in Ghana at the time, in 1961. I'm talking about, what was his name? Pardon?
Is it Mahoney?
No, not Mahoney, the British High Commissioner here. Oh, I just forgot the name.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. In which he said that Nkrumah had to be gotten rid of because he was making the African too politically conscious.
That's all true.
Clear.
But I'm
You
talking
understand?
of those who were internal to the whole situation and who jubilated and celebrated the coup. Just listen to them.
Snelling. Actually, the British High Commissioner then was Snelling.
Yes.
Snelling.
Yes.
Snelling sent that cable to the Foreign Office, justifying the overthrow. This is 1961, September 1961. Okay. So they cannot turn around today and tell us that because Bokassa was emerging in Nkrumah and so on. It is not.
Look, even the
It's
first
been the declassified documents of the CIA, and so it's clear why they conspired.
In 1958, we were multiple.
I had the privilege.
But there was a coup attempt.
I had the privilege, of interviewing AK the coup before he died. And Randy, I'm sure you've seen that
on hot issues.
Yes, you've seen that interview.
Hot issues
in
on
which
TV3.
he admits that as far as he was concerned, Nkrumah was the best leader that Ghana ever had.
He was part of the conspiracy.
I know. And he explains how he got into the conspiracy through threats, blackmail, and so on.
I don't believe that. What I know and what I have, he was a conscious participant in the conspiracy. That coup, the main guy was Halley. He was the main guy. The police, Halley, JWK Halley was the main guy the Americans influenced. He brought in Kutuka, Afifa, they coup them all.
But what about Kwashi?
Kwashi, 37.
37?
Yes.
Kwashi, the guy at 37.
But he was packed, he was thick, deep, neck deep in the conspiracy. I know about it. 37 was one of the areas.
That was home. That was where they met, that was where they plotted. And
I was on admission there.
Yes.
Yeah, I was on admission on that day. And there was a security guy. I didn't know he was a security guy, let me be honest. The old man used to visit him, sometimes very late. Sorry for that digression. Very late. He goes to sit with him. We were only two in the special ward.
Okay.
But the day of the coup, this man was so agitated. When even guns had not begun to boom, he goes out, he comes in, he goes out, he comes in. There was something wrong. It was the first day I realized that he had something like a Motorola.
Okay.
So I realized that then this man may be a very important person. By 7, 8
AM or PM?
AM. No, by then the booms were going on.
Yeah.
You could hear from Flagstaff House. This man decided to cut, remove the louvers in the ward and then cut the net, jumping out. Within 5 minutes, there were soldiers there. They knew he was there.
Okay.
Apparently, he was not ill.
Oh.
He was on duty.
Okay.
But they killed him.
Okay. They found him.
Yeah, they found him and shot him dead. It's when my father came from jail 3 years later that he asked, what happened? Did something happen to that? And I saw that man was jumping out. The soldiers had just come and we could hear gunshots. So the man died. Then he told me that, the man was on operations.
Okay.
Because they knew 37 was part of the conspiracy then.
Right. Okay.
But I'm saying that this election result is extraordinary, no matter how you look at it. It's extraordinary. I mean, to win by 57-point-something% is really significant. But then there are different interpretations. There's some who say that, the Ghanaians saw the hung parliament and how it worked, and therefore decided that this time we will not have a hung parliament as well. I mean, it's so pedestrian, I don't even want to comment about it. It's as if we went to a meeting and decided that this is how we are going to vote, so everybody votes in that direction. I mean, it's so childish, that I don't want to even consider it. That's not what happened.
Right.
Something happened, and to explain it, I think that it's important for us to have a scientific basis for that explanation. I would think that a lot of our people were reacting simply to the economic hardships that they faced. A lot of our people were reacting to escalating prices. A lot of our people were reacting, to the general broad propaganda against the Akufo Addo administration and so on. I would think that is what happened. But we didn't make a conscious decision to change the hung parliament and to give the NDC an overwhelming majority. That conscious decision was not made, you understand? Before the election, I spoke to many of my friends on the other side of the New Patriotic Party. And one of the things that they kept saying, and I was wondering where it was coming from, was that yes, they knew that things were hard. They knew that under normal circumstances they should lose the election or would lose the election. But the NDC had made a mistake in bringing back former President John Dramani Mahama. And that the people of Ghana could not bring themselves to voting for Mahama, and therefore they were going to win the elections. And this statement was made by very prominent people who ought to know. You know, it was even made by somebody who is a kingpin in the national security establishment, which must have been getting all the briefing, all the data analysis, and so on. Well, the results are out, and now we do know that the people of Ghana did not have that rejection. We're not in that rejection mode against, you know, former President John Dramani Mahama. Then there were the opinion polls, Randy. Opinion polls, my goodness. That was interesting. Almost all of them went off mark, with just a few, you know, making the mark. And here we must, you know, congratulate Global Info Analytics, which came very close, you know, to what actually became the actual results, you know, of the election. It seemed to me that some of the opinion polls were conducted by persons who were engaged in propaganda, who wanted to create a bandwagon effect. You know that there's a bandwagon effect. But unfortunately, they failed so miserably, and you know, the results of the election showed very clearly. Now, Randy, you had a discussion with a very prominent person on the Bawumia campaign, who actually admitted that about 10 months before the elections, they knew that they were going to lose. Yes. And that their study had showed that their votes were appreciating.
Yes.
But they knew that they were going to lose.
Yes, but he said that about a couple of weeks to when he was speaking, he had become very close.
Yes, but they were still
very close. So that is where the issue of a second round and all those things were coming. And he was hoping that with the coming days they could overtake.
Fantastic. My point is simply this. If they knew they were trailing, why did they get the gusto, you know, to be looking us in the face and to be telling us that we're going to win, some claiming that by landslide and so on, when they knew that we're trailing?
I suggested for a moment that they should have gone out there shouting, we are going to lose.
No, I'm not saying that.
Yes.
I'm not saying that. No, what I'm saying is that they should not have come to us, looked us in the face, and told us they were going to win by the wide margins when they knew that factually on the ground they were trailing.
Okay, so
they were trailing by huge margins.
So Kwesi, just to put put things in context.
Yes.
Could it also not be that, look, for example, if they were losing by 10 percentage points, and then just after Dr. Bawumia started his, I hope roadshow will not be derogatory, like started his campaign. Yes, their polls showed, their own polling showed that they were closing the gap, and looking at the rate at which they were closing, it gave them some hope that if they were to intensify the campaign and go in certain directions, they could overtake.
They could have said that.
No, but
they could have said that our studies showed that, you know, we were trailing.
But who says that? Who will say that?
But it is possible to say that. I mean, and you said that has been said in many elections.
Yeah, but Kwesi, that will demoralize your people.
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
it doesn't.
It will demoralize your people.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You understand? The electorate expects you to be honest. Honesty itself has a way of galvanizing support. Honesty.
But see, I don't disagree with you, but you see, in jurisdictions, in jurisdictions where independent polling, credible independent polling, is a part of the culture, and people can read the polls themselves, you cannot mislead them. When the credible polls say that there is a 3% gap, there's a 4% gap, you cannot come and say I'm winning by a landslide. But it appears that in our situation, like you said, there is some heading of so-called polls and all that, and that is why some of those commentary.
You are making exactly the same point that I'm making.
Because in other jurisdictions, you can't lie. You can't say those things.
Polling mechanisms, you know, led to a situation where, I mean, people actually looked into our face and told us blatant lies when they knew the truth. Now, Kweku is suggesting, and I think that you supported him to some extent, that you couldn't tell the truth because it was
no.
It's not a question of
can I tell the truth. What question is it?
We were supposed to tell lies. That's not an issue. I'm trying to recollect Ghanaian history, like let's restrict ourselves, where political parties or actors have gone on a campaign trail and openly acknowledged that, look, in spite of all our efforts, we are bound to lose. It doesn't happen. In fact, that will frustrate and dissipate their electoral and political energies.
But I'm not saying what you're saying. I'm not saying that they should have gone ahead and told us that, look, in spite of our efforts and everything, we are going to lose.
You're saying they shouldn't have lied to us.
Confused.
They shouldn't have said all those fantastic things.
But don't be confused.
Yes.
You know, analysis is not about black and white areas alone. There are gray areas also in analysis. Now, what I'm saying is simply this. That we could go ahead and say, look, we've done our examinations, we are trailing behind. But the indications that we are catching up and that we are doing X, Y, Z, which we hope will put us in the lead. That's honesty.
That might not be for public consumption in a campaign contest.
Why?
It's not realistic.
Why? People have gone into elections in Ghana. People have gone into elections in Ghana claiming to be third forces.
But not the two leading parties.
Yeah, but I'm saying that it is possible. People have gone into elections claiming to tip the balance and claiming to become kingmakers in second rounds and so
that's objective.
Yeah, that's objective reality. You understand? So clearly, I mean, those who could look into our face and tell us what they knew to be false could not have organized a good campaign.
Right. A
good campaign is organized on the basis of facts. A good campaign is organized on a truthful analysis of the situation. You know that? But if you're organizing a campaign and you know that your message is based on falsehood, is based on something which is not realistic, how do you hope to win the elections?
Right. Okay. So let me bring you in at this point, yes.
You know, well, I don't want us to drag final point Kwesi, because I would never ever go out to campaign and tell people that in spite of all my efforts, I'm going to lose or I might lose. It doesn't galvanize your support base.
But that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that if you said that we've done an analysis, we are trailing, and that given X, Y, Z, we will catch up and overtake them and win. That's different from the message
you can't even tell that to the generality of the electorate when you are campaigning. It's not.
Maybe in Ghana, but like I hinted earlier on, elsewhere where you have credible polling, the citizenry are fully aware.
Yes, but
that this poll, that poll says that there are 4 percentage points difference. Yes. There's 5 percentage points difference. There is even an average of all the polls, poll of polls, which says that in those jurisdictions, you cannot go and tell them that you are winning by a landslide.
Yes.
Okay. Take the U.S. elections. Take the U.S. elections. Just half a minute. No, take the U.S. elections. The Democrats at some point admitted that there were certain constituencies that they were losing.
The poll showed.
The poll showed. And then
the entirety of the.
But in fact, that's what proves the ouster of Biden.
And then they were actually organizing programs in order to win over those constituencies.
Yes.
It included black men, for example.
Yeah.
It included women voters at a certain time and so on. So clearly, as they went along, they were monitoring their position, they were monitoring factors which could lead to their defeat or their victory, and they were working on it publicly, in the public glare.
Okay. Maybe we'll get there.
Exactly. If you put it that way, I have no challenge with it. But otherwise, I will have challenges. Kwesi has run an election before. I'm sure he was confident he was going to win, but it didn't happen. I was on his side in that particular campaign. know. So to be honest, if you overgeneralize the point he's making, it could lead to the realm of fallacy, in my candid opinion. Yeah.
Waiting for Winnie and someone about better Yapono so Mikao says so when you subscribe to channel idea Bomodia say over subscribe say had the latest and hot news and kwa enamede bro afi we are now like video and give us a thumbs up na fi share ma wo foforo so na when you be here na wo hu and someone ekoso Ghana me mohanu also betimi achere wadwen afa yen some way nyira ho e comment box ni mu mo beti menka bio in my next video.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.